Hello students, welcome to EPG Patashala. I am Dr. Gayatri, working as Assistant Professor in Crystallography and Biophysics, University of Madras. Today we are going to talk on module Disorder, Twinning and Polymorphism from the paper Biocrystallography. The objectives of this module is we will have an introduction about the polymorphism, the types of polymorphism, twinning, the types of twinning, how the twinning occurs, and various types of disorders. Polymorphism generally occurs when a solid compound exists in two or more crystal forms. Polymorphs are the compounds with an identical chemical composition in which the molecules are arranged in at least two different ways in the crystalline state. McConn defined the polymorphism as a solid crystalline phase of a given compound that results from the possibility of at least two crystalline arrangements of molecules of that compound in the solid state. And polymorphism is used in general to refer to the structural diversity of molecular compounds, whereas allotrope is closely related to the polymorphism. It is the structural diversity of the elements. Allotropes and polymorphs, as I said, they are closely related as seen from the example of carbon. It has three allotropes: diamond, graphite and fullerene. Carbon atom is the same in all the three crystal structures, but the arrangement of atom is different in different crystal structures, which consequently lead to the differences in their properties. The structures of allotropes of carbon, diamond and graphite is shown in this slide. It is particularly common in organic compounds where different packing possibilities exist from the variations in the intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Polymorphism in organic solids is of fundamental importance because of its ability to alter the physical and chemical properties in different crystal structures, resulting from the different inter- and intramolecular interactions such as hydrogen bonds, halogen interactions, pi stacking, and van der Waals interactions. The chemical and physical properties such as the solubility, thermal conductivity, melting point, optical activity, and so on differ between the polymers. The energy differences between polymorphs are usually small, form interconventions commonly observed from a metastable to a stable form, and it affects the bioavailability and the stability of the drug. Stability of crystal structures is generally referred in terms of the energy of the crystal structure, where it can be thought of as a bond strength and entropy. Bond strength relates to the enthalpy and entropy relates to the degree of randomness of the structure. The structure with the lowest energy is the most stable at the given temperature and pressure. Let us have a look on packing polymorphism and conformational polymorphism. Organic molecules in crystals exhibit polymorphism mainly by two mechanisms: packing polymorphism and conformational polymorphism. Packing polymorphism is by a mechanism by which molecules that are conformationally rigid that can be packed into different three-dimensional structures, whereas conformational polymorphism arises from different conformers that can pack into different crystal structures. Pseudopolymorphism is another type of polymorphism. As the name says, pseudo represents false. The phenomenon in which the solvent molecules get incorporated into crystal lattice of a solid are known as solvates. Solvates exist in different crystal forms called as a pseudopolymorph, and this phenomenon is known as pseudopolymorphism. When the solvent is water, then it is generally referred to as hydrates. The synthetic estrogen, ethinyl estradiol, is crystallized from the solvent acetonitrile, methanol, chloroform, and saturated with water that results in four different crystalline solvates. Then when we move on to the stable and metastable polymorphs, generally at a given temperature, only one crystalline form of the different polymorphs will show a highly stable, organized, and strongly bonded crystal. From this, it is referred as a stable form, while the other crystal form exhibits poorly organized, weakly bonded crystal forms, which will be referred to as a metastable form. Metastable form of the polymorphic drug As it shows a poorly organized crystal form, it will have a low melting point, higher stability, and higher dissolution rate, as the energy required to break its bonds is very less. Metastable form of polymorphic drugs might be always required, and it is always recommended over the stable form from the absorption point of view. Oswald's step rule or Oswald's rule, it was given by Wilhelm Oswald, states that in general the least stable polymorph crystallizes first. Let's see about the amorphism. Drug may exist in an amorphous form, which is a non-crystalline or poorly crystallized form. Amorphous form is more stable and it is rapidly dissolving, but it has a shorter duration of action than the crystalline form. It will exhibit higher dissolution rate and higher absorption rate. For example, the amorphous form of novobiocin, which is an antibiotic, is taken orally as a suspension and found to possess high absorption rate, while the crystalline form of a same drug was found to be poorly absorbed. Amorphous form of chloramphenicol stearate is highly bioactive, while the crystalline form is therapeutically ineffective. A mixture of amorphous and crystalline forms of insulin taken subcutaneously or by IM route will provide an initial rapid action dose due to the fast dissolving amorphous form, followed by the prolonged action because of the slowly dissolving crystalline form. Let us have a look on solvates and hydrates. During the process of crystallization, the drug crystals may incorporate one or more molecules of solvent used into their internal structures, and the result is referred to as solvates. When the solvent is water, it is referred to as hydrate. The anhydrated form generally shows high dissolution rate than the corresponding hydrates. The anhydrous form of the drug reacts more extensively with water when compared to the already hydrated form because it is considered to have a level of water saturation already. Anhydrous form of drugs exhibit higher dissolution rates compared to their corresponding hydrated forms. When organic solvents are used instead of water, the drug will exhibit higher bioavailability than it is in the solvated form. This is due to the fact that organic solvates has higher lipophilicity due to their non-aqueous or lipophilic environment in general surrounding of the drug molecule, and hence will increase the rate of permeation of the drug. Ethanol and acetone solvates of hydrocortisone and prednisolone shows higher absorption rates when compared to that of non-solvated forms. Chloroform solvates of gracefulin, which is an antifungal drug, is better absorbed than the same drug in the asolvate state. The types of polymorphic transformations. Stability of a crystal structure is generally referred to in terms of the energy of the crystal structure. This can be thought of as the bond strength and entropy of the structure. The structure with the lowest energy is the most stable at a given temperature and pressure. The transformations are observed during the several processes. There are different types of transformations: reconstructive transformation, displacive transformation, order-disorder transformations. Let's see the reconstructive transformations. This involves extensive rearrangement of the crystal structure and requires breaking of chemical bonds and reassembling of the atoms into a different crystal structure. This also involves a large change in the energy of the structure, which must occur at the transformation temperature or pressure. Because of these extensive rearrangement that is involved, the rate at which this type of transformation occurs may be very slow. If the rate of transformation is very slow, the unstable polymorphs may exist for a long period of time. The unstable polymorphs is referred to as a metastable state or metastable transformation. Next, we move on to displacive transformation. In this transformation, there are only small adjustments done to the crystal structure. Generally, no bonds are broken, but the angles between the atoms may change slightly. Because there is little rearrangement, displacive transformations involve no change in the energy to given transformation temperature and pressure. The transformations are instantaneous and they are reversible. So, no unstable polymorphs will occur. Order-disorder transformations. These involve the state of order or disorder in a crystal structure. Perfect order can occur at a temperature of absolute zero, that is at minus 273 degrees Celsius. The state of order disorder changes gradually with increasing temperature, and there is no definite temperature at which a transformation occurs. Various analytical methods are being currently used to characterize the crystalline form of a drug. The most valuable piece of information about the crystalline solid is the molecular structure, which is generally determined by single crystal X-ray diffraction. Powder X-ray diffraction provides a kind of fingerprint of the solid phase, which is used to differentiate between the various crystalline phases and used for the determination of crystal structure at a better resolution and higher resolutions. Other spectral methods such as Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy, Fourier transform Raman scattering spectroscopy, solid-state nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy are also used for further characterization. Thermal methods, differential scanning calorimetry, and hot stage microscopy also reveals the kinetic and thermodynamic stability between the polymorphs. The schematic representation of packing and conformational polymorphism from rigid and flexible molecule is shown on the left side of the figure. Amide NHO catamer chain in polymorph 5 of aripiprazole is shown in the middle. Various conformations of aripiprazole in 6 polymorphs is shown on the right side of the slide. Powder X-ray diffraction patterns of 6 polymorphs of aripiprazole is shown here on the left side. The amide NHO dimer in polymorph 6 of aripiprazole is shown on the right side. Challenge for the pharmaceutical industry. The phenomenon of polymorphism receives special attention in pharmaceutical industry because different polymorphic forms of drugs are treated as a patentable inventions. One of the first reports concerning the influence of polymorphism on drugs dates back to 1967. Although the effects of polymorphism on drugs was very little known, it is since 1960 when the case of Norvir, which is also known as a ritonavir, came into the news. Norvir is used for the control of acquired immunodeficiency syndrome that highlighted the polymorphism as a serious concern for the pharmaceutical industry. Ritonavir is an extraordinary example of conformational polymorphism. During the development of Norvir, only a single polymorphic form was identified. In 1998, several lots of capsules didn't pass the dissolution test due to the appearance of a new polymorphic form, which is generally referred as Form 2, during the manufacturing process, which was more stable and not very soluble. Later, the medicine was removed from the market due to the inavailability to manufacture the desired polymorphic form, that is Form 1. To resolve this issue, Abbott Laboratories was required to spend hundreds of millions of dollars in the year 1998 alone. The impact of the standard of living of the patients caused by drug polymorphism highlights the very serious consequences of drug polymorphism as a public health concern. Ritonavir was found to exhibit conformational polymorphism with 2 unique crystal lattices having significantly different solubility properties. Although the polymorph Form 2 corresponds to the cis conformation, it is more stable packing arrangement. The coincidence of a highly supersaturated solution and a probable heterogeneous nucleation by a degradation product resulted in the sudden appearance of the more stable Form 2 polymorph. Now let us have a look on the twinning. Twinning is another challenging phenomenon in crystallography. A twinned crystal contains at least 2 or more single crystals with identical packing but in different orientations. That is, technically, a split crystal relates to 2 or more crystallites that are stuck together in different orientations, whereas a twinned crystal usually involves interpenetrating crystal lattices that are caused by faults in a single crystal. Both will result in a twin diffraction data. Solving the structure from a twinned crystallographic data is very challenging. They are intergrown in such a way that at least some of their lattice directions are parallel. The twinned crystals of minerals were recognized long before the development of X-ray analysis, and they were classified according to the way they grew. For example, contact twins, where 2 separate crystals had grown outwards from the common twin plane, can be distinguished from the interpenetrant twins, in which the two components appear to grow through one another. Polysynthetic or lamellar twins grow as stacks of layers of the two components. If the twin domains are big enough and the structure is not cubic, the twinning can in principle at least be detected using a polarizing microscope, taking care not to look along the principal axis of the uniaxial crystal. If a twin is detected, first it is best to try to find an untwinned specimen. Sometimes an untwinned piece may be separated from the rest of the crystal using a scalpel. The figures show the twinned crystals. Different types of twinned crystals are shown here. The contact twin is shown in figure A, the interpenetrant twin is shown in figure B, and polysynth twin is shown in figure C. The twinning can be described in terms of a symmetry element. The twin element, which unlike normal symmetry elements doesn't occur in every unit cell but relatively few times or even only once on a macroscopic scale. Defining the twin element is very important as it is the twin operation which converts one part of the twin into the other. Based on the presence of these elements, twins are generally classified as rotation twins, reflection twins, inversion or racemic twins. In the case of rotation twins, the common axis can be 2, 3, 4 or 6-fold axis and is sometimes one of the three axes of the unit cell. In reflection twins, the two domains are related to one another by a reflection in a plane and are described as a reflection twin. In inversion or racemic twins, the twins in which a non-centrosymmetric structure and its mirror image have grown together and are relatively common but easy to handle. Now let us look on the other types of twinning, that is non-merohedral and merohedral twinning. To describe the twin crystals, two aspects are required. The spatial relationship of the two twin components, which can be expressed as a matrix that transforms the HKL indices of one species into the other. And the second is the fractional contribution of each component, which is generally called as a twin fraction. In the case of a non-merohedral twinning, that is a twinning without coincidence in the reciprocal lattice, there is no complete overlapping of the reflections for the two components. The twin element is neither an element of the crystal class nor of the crystal system. Non-merohedral twins are easier to recognize as the diffraction data are not easily resolved. There are clear signs of more than one reciprocal lattice due to the overlapping spots in the diffraction pattern. Separate domain lattices align in fewer than 3 dimensions. The diffraction pattern contains interpenetrating lattices as can be observed from this diagram. A merohedral twin occurs when two crystal lattices are connected in such a way that from the collected diffraction data it appears to be a single crystal. The diffraction data of the twinned crystal consequently belongs to a higher symmetry. In merohedral twinning, it is harder to identify as it's sometimes possible to solve and even refine the structure in the incorrect higher space group, although disorder is commonly found in such structures. The twin element is not a symmetry element of the crystal class but is an element of the crystal system. This means that the different orientations of both the direct and reciprocal lattice will coincide exactly with one another, leading to merohedral twinning or more strictly twinning through merohedry. In merohedral, lattice of two or more distinct domains coincide exactly in all 3 dimensions. Since the real space coincides, the reciprocal lattices of different domains overlap exactly. Twinning can originate in different ways as growth twins, transformation twins, glide or deformation twins. Now let's see what is a growth twin. When accidents occur during crystal growth and a new crystal is added to the face of an already existing crystal, twinning can occur. If the new crystal shares a lattice point on the face of the existing crystal but it has a different orientation from the original crystal, such growth twins can be the contact twins as illustrated here, or it can also be a penetration twins. A growth twin is an accident. A single untwinned crystal is more stable than the growth twin. In general, there are no group or subgroup relationship between the twin point group and the individual point group. The twin may form at the nucleation stage, at the growth stage, or as oriented attachment of grown crystals. In order for a twin to form, a structural continuity must exist across the interface. When the oriented attachment mechanism is responsible for the formation of a twin, the interface coincides with a developed phase of the crystal. Transformation twins occurs when a pre-existing crystal undergoes a transformation due to a change in the pressure or temperature. This commonly occurs in minerals that have a different crystal structures and different symmetry at different temperatures and pressures. When the temperature or pressure is changed, then different parts of the crystal become arranged in different symmetrical orientations, and thus it forms an intergrowth of one or more crystals. Transformation twins form when a phase transition occurs where the parent and the daughter phases are in group-subgroup relationship. Let's move on to the deformation twin. During deformation, atoms can be pushed out of the place. This happens to produce a symmetrical arrangement. It produces deformation twins. Mechanical twins occur where a physical action is applied on the crystal, and the formation mechanism of the twin consists in a glide of atomic planes along a direction that results from the physical action applied on the crystal and lower energy bonding directions within the crystal. In general, there is no group-subgroup relation between the twin point group and the individual point group. If the crystal structure doesn't have a low energy bonding directions, the twin doesn't form. That is, a cleavage or fracture may instead result. Let's have a look on the disorder. A crystal is a potentially endless, three-dimensional, periodic discontinuum which is built up by atoms, ions, or molecules. Because of the periodicity, every object is regularly repeated in three-dimensional space. That is, every unit cell has exactly the same orientation with all molecules in the same conformation as in the cells to its left, right, in all the directions. However, an ideal crystal doesn't exist. In most real crystals, there are several lattice defects and impurities may also be present in some cases. In the case of disorder, the orientations of some atoms differ randomly in the different unit cells. Disorders occur when some of the atoms in the structure adopt different orientations in different unit cells in the crystal. The model in the solvated structure represents two or more orientations of the atoms that are observed. The percentage of each orientation may vary with temperature, but assuming the atoms are present in full occupancy, the various disordered components will sum to unity. Disorder is generally modeled as a part of a refinement process to locate and identify the residual electron density that may be found on the electron density map after most of the crystal structure has been assigned. The modeling of the disorder also contributes to lowering of the R factor if the refinement is properly done. Within the crystal lattice, disorder often looks like the partial displacement of some atoms of the molecule within the crystal lattice. The most commonly occurring one in molecules that are able to take on differing orientations or different conformers. There are two ways of disorder can occur: static disorder and dynamic disorders. Static disorder can occur when there are two conformations of the same molecule within the same unit cell, or the conformers phase in one direction in some unit cell and in another direction in another unit cells. Distribution of the conformers is not necessarily always to be 50% and 50%. The amount of occupancy of each conformer is determined on how the electron density is distributed. Dynamic disorder occurs when the molecule is constantly undergoing a flux. For example, ferrocene molecule undergoes a phase transition at 164 Kelvin, where close to this temperature the ring conformations of the ferrocene molecule are always in constant motion. If the temperature is slightly above or below this transition temperature, then ferrocene atoms are constant. Crystal diffraction data from the crystals that contain ferrocene are usually collected either at 180 Kelvin or 120 Kelvin in order to avoid the temperature related phase transitions. Consider the example: 1000 soldiers lined up neatly in a square, supposed to look to the right, but 30% of them misunderstood the order and turned their heads to the left. This arrangement would be much like a two-dimensional crystal with 70 ratio of 30 disorder. The structure determined from the diffraction pattern is a spatial average over the whole crystal. Let's see the types of disorders. The first we see the substitutional disorder. This type of disorder describes a situation in which the same site in two unit cells is occupied by different types of atoms. This type of disorder is known from minerals and salt-like crystals. For example, in zeolites, the silicon and aluminum atoms are often statistically distributed over the tetrahedral sites in the three-dimensional aluminosilicate frameworks and share the same site. In the structure model, there may be a strong correlation between the site occupancy and the displacement factor, in which case it is best to refine them in alternating cycles of refinement until they converge. Next, we see the positional and orientation disorder. Positional disorder is a normal case of disorder where one atom occupies more than one single site. This type of disorder can happen in a single unit cell or distributed among different unit cells. Both dynamic and static disorders are treated in the same way during the refinement. Dynamic disorder will have a real motion in a solid state, whereas the static disorder have a look-alike motion. Dynamic disorder can be prevented by performing the data collection at low temperature. For example, furosemide drug polymorph 2 crystallized in a monoclinic space group P21-Basi with one furosemide molecule in the asymmetric unit. The furan ring is found to be disordered over two sites with 75% and 25% occupancy at temperature 298 Kelvin. This is a dynamic disorder arising due to the wagging of the flexible furan ring, which is removed on lowering the temperature as the molecules are virtually frozen at 100 Kelvin. The static disorder cannot be prevented by low temperature data collection strategies. The figure shows the asymmetric unit form 298 Kelvin and figure B shows at 100 Kelvin. Positional and rotational disorder are some of the examples we are going to see now. In the case of a positional disorder, a thermal factor is too big or it can also be too small. The orientation of the ellipsoids parallel to the bond, it may have an incorrect bond distance. And during the check-if, it results in a Hirschfeld test violation. In the case of a rotational disorder, there will be increased ellipsoids. The electron density present between the refined atoms will be observed, and there will be shortened carbon-carbon distances. So students, let us summarize what we have learnt in this module. The module explains about the crystal polymorphism. It gives a detailed account of different polymorphs, the physical and chemical differences between different polymorphs. The role of polymorphism in organic compounds and its importance in the pharmaceutical industry were seen in detail. Twinning in crystal, the types of twinning, various ways to detect the twins in the crystal are elucidated. Disorders observed in solids and different kinds of disorders are explained in detail. Thank you very much for watching this video.